Don't touch that dial. Hey, you call your aunt, your mom, your pop, your gumad and your gumbadi, and tell them, very important show here. We have a representative from the district attorney's office who's special detail. She's a special detail in the district attorney's office, which has different divisions. And this division, I think, is most important. I think today, more than ever, you're going to have family problems because people are losing their jobs, or the tension, and there's disputes and fighting and arguing, and also, and sometimes it turn out to be violent, and sometimes it's against their neighbor, so, ladies and gentlemen, it's a pleasure, and I'm a former police officer and also with the Norristown Police, and also worked in the district attorney's office, and I want to say that today the district attorney's office is so well equipped and ready to meet the challenges out there, and there's a lot of challenges, and I want to thank Risa Furman, the district attorney. And I had a physician scheduled here today because of this here, swine flu, whatever, and it was very an emergency, couldn't be here, so I called the last minute, and this was scheduled later on, but I brought it up now because it's very important because of the economy, the way it is and all. But I want you to meet my good friend here. I've met now for the first time for the last half hour. And the name is Jane D. Lichterman, right? And she's from the district attorney's office, and you've been in the district attorney's office how many years?
Almost 14 years.
14 years, okay. All right, now, shake hands, all right?
Pleasure
Always
to meet
shake
you.
hands, and I like it. See, that means an extra friendship. Okay, now, tell me what you do.
My role as the victim witness coordinator in the DA's office is to make sure that the victims of crimes, of any type of crime, all crime victims, and witnesses as well,
Okay.
that their rights are
Now,
served.
the witnesses, that need protection too,
Yes,
okay.
yes, perhaps, sometimes in a case the witness will need protection if they're testifying against a particularly dangerous offender, and they will need protection as well. Victims have many rights that the state guarantees them, and it's my job.
A lot of people don't realize that,
Yes.
I remember when I was a police officer, people, they didn't know the district attorney was their lawyer. They said, somebody do something to them. They say, oh, I don't have the money to get a lawyer. You don't have to get, if you're a victim, you're getting beat up or something, you get district attorney, and the police are on your side.
Exactly. Report
Right.
it to the police, and the district attorney will take the notes from the police and prosecute the
Right,
offender.
that's a procedure.
Absolutely.
All right, now, this is victim. Okay, now, how did your office help a victim? Now, let's say it's a husband and wife or something like that, okay? That's
Okay.
a touchy situation.
It is a very touchy situation.
You got to use a little class.
It's difficult, as you would know, as a
Right,
police
right,
officer. It's
right.
one of the most dangerous situations to walk into,
Right.
because you don't know if there's a weapon involved or if it's physical violence without
Right.
a weapon, and you have to really be very careful. And we take steps to protect the victims of domestic violence. They are usually women and also children.
Right, children, that's right. Yeah,
And it's
okay.
very frightening for them to get caught up in a situation that they don't
Yeah.
understand what's happening
Right.
between the two adults. And we provide so many services to them. We have agencies in the community, the Women's Center for Domestic Violence, the Laurel House Women's Shelter that they can
House,
go
right,
to.
okay.
I'm sure you're familiar with these
Right, right.
agencies. And
But there's a lot of changes since, I started in 1951, so a lot of changes.
There
They give me a
certainly
gun and a
have.
badge and put me out in the street, and that's the only education
Well,
that I had.
it happens to be, I'm so happy to be here today because this happens to be the middle of Victims' Rights Week across the
This
country.
whole week?
This whole week.
Oh, okay.
Started Sunday, going through
What do you mean by
May
that?
2nd.
What's about? Okay, it's the week for
To
violence.
commemorate victims' rights, which is celebrating the 25th anniversary in the United States of
Oh.
America. And there are so many rights even that each state offers and that Pennsylvania has, and it's my job to make sure that those rights are served. So, for example, in the domestic violence situation that you brought up, we would talk to the victim about enrolling in the SAVIN program.
Oh, okay, tell me what that is now. That's SAVIN.
That's right.
I know what's that mean.
That stands for Statewide Automated Victim Information and Notification.
All right, now boil it down
It's
a little
lot
bit more.
of stuff. Every county in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania will be on board with this. Montgomery County was the fourth county.
We're always up front.
We
really.
are. We are up front in
Right.
victims' rights. We are
Right.
known across the Commonwealth for our
Right.
service to victims.
Right.
SAVIN is a program that you can, that anyone, not just a victim, a neighbor, a police officer, a victim advocate, a relative of the offender, anyone who wants to know the status of a Montgomery County Correctional Facility inmate, county jail.
Okay, in other words, if the guy's in jail and he gets out, they get the information that he's coming out.
Exactly.
And be aware.
Exactly. So it doesn't happen automatically, but if you enroll in this program by, you can call the toll-free phone number.
The person has to enroll.
Right. Whoever wants to be notified
They
or
notify
get
the district
information.
attorney's office.
Well, you can call directly,
Oh, okay.
or you can go online.
Okay.
Or
Yeah,
you
well, we're
can.
modern now, going online,
Oh, everybody is automated and everything can work.
I'm a dinosaur. I go.
It's a great system for dinosaurs or newbies or anyone who wants to be
I'm
notified.
a little dinosaur. So.
But you can always call the district attorney's office. I'll be happy to provide my phone number.
I have to, we talk about experiences, and we learn by our experiences. And when I was a policeman, I arrested a fellow. He was a mean guy. He was mean. And he went to jail. I mean, they used to interview him when they went to jail. What did you do, and what's your attitude, when you get out or something. They asked, he says, when I get out, that guy, Cisco, I'm going to, I'm saying to myself, hey, I locked that guy up. I didn't know he was in jail waiting to come out to beat me up. I should have known that, And
Absolutely.
I forget what agency was in charge of that. I called him. I said, look, when I make an arrest, I said, at least now I'm so happy to hear that that's in motion.
Absolutely. You'd be protected now.
The guy would come out and beat me up. Well, he'd have a fight on his hand because I never lost a fight in the dressing room. So, all right, now, now we have victims. And another thing that the district attorney, Lisa Furman, has put together has to do with helping victims and mission kids. Tell me about that. That's something, another helping thing.
It's a phenomenal program
Right.
that was spearheaded by DA Lisa Furman.
Right.
And they are trying to build a comprehensive service center for children.
I think it's out in
who are
Germantown Pike.
victims.
It's a deserted house.
Exactly.
or
They're
home.
looking at this deserted barn on the,
They'll fix it up.
property
Right.
of Norristown State Hospital, and they
If
want
I
to
know
fix
her,
it
it's
up.
Bob and we met.
She'll get it together. She's a woman of action.
Well, it sure is.
And it will provide services from the forensic examination, medical examinations, all the way through
And keep 'em informed, right?
interviews, and keep them informed, provide victim services, as well as give a comfortable environment
Right,
for them
right.
to give an interview to the police instead of the sterile environment. Well, you're
Right,
familiar with the
right,
police
right.
department, and it's
Yeah,
all metal,
right.
and children would be a little frightened. But here, it's going to be a more
Yeah, right.
child-friendly, comprehensive
I
center.
remember sometimes when you have a young child would have to testify against an adult, and we'd have to brief them,
Right.
And it wasn't really great because you talk to them a couple hours, but now you're talking about a separate environment where you can really put it all together.
Right, the detectives will be there, the
Right,
prosecuting assistant DA will
Put
be
your
there.
witness in shape for a fight. Why
Exactly.
should you go into court and let this guy that's a bad guy that did something to somebody and he has a sharp lawyer? A sharp lawyer can beat you up. I remember
yes.
there were some lawyers that were sharp, man. They would really boop, boop, boop.
But the DAs are sharper.
But we've got to be sharp, right? The district attorney's office got to be sharp. And Montgomery County's in good shape. I mean, in all areas, policemen, health department, and just about everything. Now, the missions that's rolling, right?
That is
she's
rolling.
She's
Oh,
in
yes.
fundraising, and also
We're
call the
fundraising.
district attorney's office and find out how you can come up with some money and help out a little bit. All right, now what's this here? Montgomery County, it's MCAP. Put some words to that.
Okay, that's the Montgomery Child Advocacy Project. That was also started by DA Risa Furman and former Assistant District Attorney Wendy Demchick-Alloy. And that is a program where volunteer attorneys provide pro bono, which is for free.
Yeah. Pro bono. Where did they get that pro bono? Is it paisano? What is bono? What's
It's
the chief
Latin.
of police? I didn't know this. Pro bono. What does it say? It's free.
For free, volunteer attorneys.
Oh, okay.
And some of the top attorneys in the county
Oh, yeah.
are participating in this program where the volunteer attorneys represent children who are victims or witnesses to crimes. So if you want to go back to that domestic violence scenario
Yeah.
where the child witnesses it and may have to testify, well, who's protecting the child's rights?
Right, right.
Or in a child sexual assault case where one parent may be the offender and the other parent may side with their spouse instead of the child. So the children really need to be represented because sometimes they find themselves in an empty corner without representation.
When I started in 1951 as a police officer, and like I said, they just give me a gun and a badge and put me on the street. I had no training whatsoever, and we used to go into, a family argument, and thank God that I had three brothers, 4 sisters, Italian. Well, we had an argument. There was an argument. Everybody was hollering. So, you take a policeman that maybe he's the only child, and he'd never heard arguments, fighting and hollering, and next thing you know, he'd go in there and he want to lock everybody up because they're hollering and screaming. Well, so it was a Dr. Stern was with the mental health clinic here in Norristown, and he come in with a family intervention program, teaching police officers how to handle a family argument, and they had it like a role model, role guy, role playing they call it, right? And like it's a hot-tempered guy, and the son ran away, and he came back, and the father says, "I don't want him. He's a bum, and I don't want him in the house." And the mother, she's crying. Next thing they're home. So the policeman's called, okay? So he's got to be able to handle. But one thing when the police goes in, keep his voice down. Don't shout and holler back and forth. The guy's hollering and screaming. That's his home. He can holler all he wants. But if you lower your voice, I know my uncle Mario in Brooklyn. My brothers would be fighting. He would say, "Nino," my brother, "Nino," and he would lower his voice, and my brother would slow down, So it's something, rather, because if you say, and you holler, and you don't accomplish it. So bring your voice down, and then when you go into the room, if there's any kind of weapons or anything, the 2 police officers make sure they're facing each other, protecting each other, because they could grab any kind of knife or anything,
Right.
So when you go in there, that's why the policemen, we had no training. Thank God we had our values, or our parents taught us different things, But now you have a training. You have you got problems today that didn't have then too,
Correct.
So
That's right.
So go ahead.
Well, we work with the police, the district
Right.
attorney's office. In fact, I will be doing a training talking about some of these issues for law enforcement officers next month, May 27th. Yes.
What are you going to hold that? What's that?
It's going to be at the
Please,
Fort Washington Holiday Inn.
Oh, okay. That's
Commerce
yeah,
Road.
yeah, right.
Correct. And so we are collaborating.
Yeah.
The district attorney's office, the victim service agencies, the victim witness unit in the DA's office, we are collaborating with each other and with the police officers so that we can all be on the same page.
Right.
And be able to fight crime together effectively. And Montgomery County does a phenomenal job of that.
And now tell me something about yourself now. Tell me about you.
Well,
You were, you wasn't born a district attorney or assistant DA.
I wasn't, but I was actually a crime victim.
Oh yeah.
And I think that's what led me eventually to my work, and I think it's what helps me. It helps me do a good job because I can relate to the victims.
You're right.
I was a shooting victim 27 years ago, and
What do you mean?
I was shot in the chest by a random bullet that came through my bedroom window.
Oh my God. Was you mad at you, or?
They never found out who did it. There was never an arrest, so I didn't have the chance to go through the criminal justice system. But I was a victim nonetheless. I was able to apply to Victims' Compensation Assistance Program.
Oh yeah, tell me about that now. What's
That's
this?
an excellent program through the
Tell me
state,
about
through
that.
Harrisburg. Victim suffers personal injuries, has medical bills, medication, may have to pay someone to do
They
chores
have to go to court
for them.
sometime and lose work.
Exactly, they lose
Because
wages.
that guy caused me the problem. He's the one that should go to jail. He's the one that should pay for it.
Exactly. And you can actually apply to the state to be reimbursed for your medical bills, your medications, losing wages because you couldn't work. And I was injured. I was out for 3 months.
Wow. How old were you then?
25.
Wow.
Now everyone's going to know how old I am.
Well, I'm 25, so I'm 85. Anybody? Okay, I'm going to go back in the ring if anybody's 85 years old, and then let me see, I weigh about 210, so I'll take on anybody. We'll put a celebrity fight,
I wouldn't take you on, Hank. I know your reputation.
So, all right, now the district attorney, has other units. We have the drug unit. Tell me some of the other units now.
Well, we have the juvenile division
Right.
that
Now,
handles
who handles
victims.
that?
Sharon Gianprocaro is the assistant
Okay.
district
I
attorney.
got to get her in
charge.
there because that's I was what I was. I was a juvenile man for Norristown, and they created that position as a juvenile officer. Well, juvenile. I was a lieutenant, and we used to review the cases and prepare them for juvenile court with the probation officer.
Well, you established a great program because Sharon's been running it, I believe, as long as I've been there, and she does a phenomenal job.
That's great. But I found when I was there, the probation used to be complete control. And I went to a conference out in Chicago, and the guy says, look, the probation officer, I don't want to mention the probation officer, he says, the district attorney is the boss. He decides what way it goes and who's going to do what, and but it was before, I think they just said, well, let the probation handle it, But now the district attorney has more input, is right there, and they're to have the final say,
They're the top cop in the county.
What's that?
They're the top cop in the county.
Right. Now, from one district attorney to another, things change, right? I think the times and the personnel, and I worked with Chief Oscar Vance.
Oh, he's
when I was
wonderful.
with Norristown, he was a detective, and then so when I was appointed detective, he was my boss. So we got along real good. In fact, I talked to him today. Told him you were coming on here, but we have the district attorney's office prepares cases for court. It kind of they got the DA and the good relationship between the police and the district attorney's office. That always wasn't always that way, I think it was always the law enforcement. Even when Kennedy got shot down there was feuding between who was going to be in charge and all,
Well, that was long before
Yeah.
the collaboration.
Yeah. So now you
happened.
have this information. Tell me something about that. How it spread this information statewide? What do they call that? Some kind now with the computer and all that stuff.
Well, there's a lot of information that is available online. We have our county website that you can access, the DA's office and the Victim Witness Unit. You can read about what victims' rights are, what your rights are if you become a victim. And there are other sources. We're not open 24/7, but some of the community-based agencies that have hotline numbers are open 24/7 if you were a crime victim and you just need someone to talk to, or you have a question, or you can't sleep, or someone, or you're having a problem. That there are so many agencies that you can call,
okay.
and you can contact the DA's office or go on our website, and there are links to other agencies.
After I was on the job for, I think, maybe 8-10 years or so, the state started moving in and start looking at this about, this was back in 1979, okay? And there was a guide for police officers, okay? And
I've never even seen that one.
and there was some, let me tell you, ladies, you should be happy you wasn't around in the 1800s. This was some of the things that happened here in the colonial America. You're a good reader. Just read this. Okay, out loud so everybody know. Everybody listen now. This, but the women back in 1840 or so, whatever.
This is some scary stuff.
Go ahead.
Colonial America, the early settlers generally conformed to the European attitudes towards women. Our law, based on the Old English common law, specifically permitted wife beating for, quote, correctional purposes, unquote.
You were allowed to beat up your wife. Go ahead.
Boy, I'm glad times have
I'm
changed.
glad it wasn't around.
However, some restrictions had begun to develop, and the common law doctrine was modified to allow the husband, quote, the right to whip his wife, provided that he used a switch no bigger than his thumb.
And I said the rule of thumb. That's what, when you hear somebody say the rule of thumb, that's what it came from.
Thus the origin of our expression,
Right.
rule of thumb. In 1824, a Mississippi court ruled that a husband could administer only moderate chastisement in cases of emergency. But by 1894, even that right was overruled in the same state.
And then sometimes you couldn't beat them up in the morning, you could beat them up at night. I mean, oh my God. So this was a guide for police officers on how to handle it, and I thought that was great. I think that was about the first movement on, and now, and I think the district attorneys that come on right on from Marino and right on up, Nicholas and who else, Castor, now Risa Furman, but Risa Furman is really putting it all together because not all new modern techniques and different things that she's able to, but she's putting together.
Absolutely.
She's not sitting on her hands.
No,
You know.
she's a very bright and conscientious district attorney. She's very concerned about the community and the public
Right,
and the
right.
children and the families, and being a mother herself. I think
Right,
that's where
right.
some of her concern generates.
And she's half my paisan. She's half Italian, too.
That's
She's
right.
Sicilian. I had her on my show.
So she's got those family values,
Right.
and that's what's important to
Right.
keep
All right, now
the
tell me
laws
something
going.
about now, what schools did you go to?
I graduated from George Washington University,
That's in Washington? Or?
Washington, D.C.
And-
I grew up here in Montgomery County.
Okay,
Went to
whereabouts?
Springfield High School.
Where?
Springfield.
Oh,
In Springfield Township.
Oh, yeah. Well, then you must have ate some thing at Cisco's hoagies and the steaks there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'll tell you, more people grew up eating the Cisco's hoagies, Zeps.
Oh, Cisco's was where you went, for sure.
So, now, what is, you have something here. Tell me about this. Well, this is a little fundraiser.
This is
okay?
a flyer, a
Okay,
fundraiser.
tell me about it. I'll hold it up here.
Thank you, Hank. It's a fundraiser to raise funds for Mission Kids. It's a bocce tournament.
Right.
It's being held at the Holy Savior Club Bocce Courts
Okay.
on June 13th and 14th.
Okay. Now, this little message, Risa, I want to help you, but what I want to do, I want to have a fundraiser for you for the Mission Kids. I want to have a spaghetti supper, okay? Manja, okay? We'll work on that, okay?
I'll bring desserts.
But I'm gonna make a little spaghetti supper. I think that's great. Everybody will go away happy. Okay. Now, are you? Is the district attorney's office on this victim stuff? They're available. Like most of these things happen in the wee hours of the morning. Somebody's drinking or whatever, you know.
Right.
So
Well, the
how's
most important-
how's that work?
The most important thing is call your local police. If there's a problem in your home,
Yeah.
in
Give
the
me
neighborhood.
the steps they should take.
Okay, thank you, Hank. Dial 911. Very easy. Everyone knows 911 emergency. That's the first step to take, because
Right.
what the police are going to have to do an investigation
Right.
of the facts and the evidence, and if they find that there are enough facts and evidence to support an arrest, they'll arrest the bad guy.
Right.
And then if
And the police will touch base with district attorney in reference to search warrants, and to make sure that they don't violate anything where they can get the case thrown out.
Exactly.
See, and that's you know a good police department. Most of the police now are pretty at school. When the qualification was in Norristown, you had to have an 8th grade education, and I was in 8th grade. I dropped out when I was in 8th grade. Okay, but I finished 8th grade. And then I went to school. I got the equivalent GED, and then I got an associate degree in college and all. But that's all, the education was needed then, see? But now all the police, they all got degrees, In fact, some of them have so many degrees that they call them kid thermometer, So I, got to get down there and do some little work on it, So go ahead now. So the police made the investigation. They make sure that they didn't make an illegal warrant or
Search
apprehension or take evidence that didn't have the proper, whatever.
Well, the Montgomery County police officers are all very well trained
Right.
to know all the right things to do so
Right.
that they don't blow the case. It's very important to have all your ducks in a row,
Right,
do
right.
everything right along
Nothing
the way,
nothing like it.
so that when the case gets to the DA's office, everything is in line, all the right steps were taken, and no mistakes were made.
Right.
So if they need a warrant, they get a warrant. If they need to get certain evidence, they can get it and make sure they have it
Yeah.
so they can support the case.
You have to figure, you take jobs that have a lot of tension, police, newspapermen, tension, deadlines and stuff like that, they're subject to problems too. Now, this course that you're giving, going to give a course
to law enforcement.
okay, and what's some of the things you're going to be outlining or talking about to educate these police officers?
Well, I'm so glad that I had the opportunity to be here today, because some of the same topics we're talking about here, I'm going to introduce to the law enforcement.
Okay, let them know. It's okay. Maybe they'll listen. Maybe their wives will listen. Okay,
So-
no, tell them when they come home from work.
Okay, SAVN is a big one.
What is it?
SAVN, the Victim
okay,
Notification
yeah,
Program,
okay.
because police officers don't think about the fact that they, too, can enroll in the Savin program to be notified. Like you said, you put
Right.
a guy in jail,
I don't
you want to
right.
know when he's out.
Right, okay. What else? What else that seminar you're going to have?
I'm going to talk to them about victims' compensation program,
Okay.
because that's another
That way the
program.
police officer can tell them that there is money out there for
Exactly.
them to get any loss that this, I call them creeps, that cause the problem, okay?
Or if a police officer is injured,
Right,
he can
that's
apply for
right.
victims' compensation as well.
Oh, yeah?
He is eligible, absolutely, he or she.
Okay, well, you know, I know what I said, I'm going to get my late hours cut out. Well, no, guys, I'm going to get an operation. Yeah, what's going to be operating? I'm going to get my late hours cut out. Okay. Jane, the half hour's up. Shake hands. Thank you. Risa, thank you for allowing Jane to come over here. And ladies and gentlemen, really, there's so much out there. It's a lot of help. Don't hesitate to call if you need help. So whenever in doubt, check it out.
Absolutely.
Okay? And we want to thank you for allowing us to come into your home. And I hope that you got something out of this. And don't hesitate to call the district attorney's office. And don't forget now we got a little budget tournament for the Mission Kids. You'll hear more about the Mission Kids. It's something to help children and that are victims and that need help. Okay? So until we meet again, Jane, let's go over here. We say, Allah Salud, means to your health.
Salud.
There we go. Right. And then I have a little token appreciation coming on here. A little something you put it on your desk.
Thank you.
Okay? It's for Comcast, Comcast 28 and Verizon 45, Norristown, East Norton, West Norton, Conshohocken, White Marsh, Whippane, Collegeville. Hey, tune in, okay? Thank you very much. Allah Salud. Right, okay.